Hello YouTube, welcome back to the channel. If you would like and subscribe, I sure would appreciate it. If you like more videos, because I'm always coming out with something. So this week, well last week I got in the Iron City Kayak Anglers event on Bankhead Lake, which is Bankhead plus tributaries over that, Locust Fork and Mulberry. I fished a frog all day and I got 4th place. And really, my back, I had hurt my back, so I knew this time of year in Alabama, you're probably up, the people that are up the creek are going to do the best. A lot of times, I mean, depends on the body of water. But I knew in this situation that the guys wading, going, dragging, fishing shoals, all that kind of skinny water stuff, I just couldn't do that with my back. So I thought, I'm going to go up shallow, I'm going to throw a frog in the grass, and I'm just going to try to catch 3. Throwing a frog all day. Went into it. That's what my plan was, so that's what I did. I ended up in 4th, got my money back. A little bit of a low turnout for this event, and that's usually just in the middle of summer. People have a lot of stuff going on, so there you go. But since I was going to talk about the frog, I figured, well, I'll just do a review and kind of show the frogs that I do use, my frog lineup, because I'm in a kayak and I keep everything super simple. If you don't, if you aren't a kayak angler, there's a way that you can keep your frogs simple, especially if you're just getting into fishing and there's so many frogs out there, so you don't know what to throw. This would be a great way to understand the least amount that you can carry, at least in my mind. So first, I'll show the rod. It's always so hard to get the rod up in here. But it's a 7.3 Falcon, 7.3 Falcon low rider, heavy. It's the Amistad. I throw it on 50-pound line. This is my one frog rod, so all the frogs I'm going to talk about, this is what I use. And this is the black and red frog I caught them on. So 50-pound vicious braid. It's a 7.3-to-1 Quantum Smoke HD. So really a heavy, just think kind of heavy duty reel. Or a reel that has enough, like let's say you were going to throw a Daiwa tattoo, you would want to throw at least the 150 size. And I do like Daiwa tattoos. It's a good all-around reel, but has more line capacity, and you want to do that because you're throwing braid, heavier, thicker gauge braid, so you need to have that capacity, and you just want to have the internals. Like I like the Quantum HD because it has brass gearing, which is a little more, little beefier, and I'm not going to blow out my reel because I'm, like a super, let's say a lower budget reel. You do need a little bit higher model reel, I think, because for me, I'm looking for brass gearing. I want something super tough, something that's going to last. Any technique where I'm fishing super heavy grass, super heavy cover, things like that, where you really got hoss out the fish, then I'm going to want brass gearing and something really strong. And you also don't want to go too fast a reel because then they usually don't have the drag that can handle something like frog fishing and really getting a frog out of the mats. Whenever you're throwing an actual walking frog, a regular frog, like a Spro Bronzeye 65, the OG. Whenever you're throwing something like that, you need to have a rod, braid, and a reel that can handle it. So a good, let's say, 7 foot to 7'3" in my mind. Heavy. Maybe if heavy is the heaviest I'd want to go, because whenever you're throwing a popping frog or a buzz frog or things like that, toad, you really want to have a little bit of give on it. You don't want something just an absolute broomstick. So that's why I'd say heavy. A lot of good brands out there. I have like I said, Falcon low rider. I like to use, this is one of those techniques where you can use a rod that isn't super high end because you're usually visually sight casting and you're seeing the bite up on top. It's top water. So you don't need something super, super high end because, you don't necessarily need to feel the bite. So there you go. So if you want to save a little bit of money, it's a place to do it. I keep all my frogs in a Plano 3700 in my Yak Gadget HD crate, Low Pro HD crate, XD. I think it's XD crate. There you go. But the 3 kind of frogs I throw are your regular hollow belly. This is a Scum Launch Frog. Can't believe I'm even showing this because this frog is so good. It's the best frog out there. If you think something else is, you're wrong. I'm sorry. It's so soft. Your hookup ratio is going to go up. You don't have to bend out the hooks. And if you did bend the hooks, you might want to bend them, you know, out to the sides more so they get a little bit more bite and not necessarily up like you do some other frogs. Dude, this, I'm telling you, this plastic on this frog is so ridiculously soft. You could boil other frogs, and I've done it, man. You can boil the hell out of them. This is better. This is better right out of the box. You don't have, I don't do anything to them. Zero modification. I like the ragged hooks. It's pretty good. They don't get water in them. Never broke one. The paint stays on there forever. I do trim up the legs just a hair. You know, if you want, I've seen pros where they'll do it just on, trim up the hair just on one, not the hair, but the legs. Trim it up just a little bit on one side so it walks a little bit better if you want to do that. There you go. But the three colors I generally throw are a black, a white, or a shad, a white ass shad. Actually have both on this one. I'll show you both of them. The white and the shad color, which is white, a shad. I don't think a fish is going to notice. A little bit grayer, you know, more of an off-white on bottom. I don't know. I don't know about that. And then a brown, some kind of bluegill color. Just represent, you know, and it does have a little bit of that flashaboo in there. It's not the actual strands of flashaboo in some baits, but it does have a little bit of, you know, a little bit of flash to it. So I kind of like that too. A little bit more natural presentation whenever I'm fishing bluegill, usually. So that's really the three I'm going to throw. It's going to be white, black, maybe a shad. Let's say if I were going to throw 4, if you're looking for 4, white, I'm throwing that in the nastiest water, the dirtiest water. White shows up the best. Black, overcast conditions. Or generally black would be my go-to. Some kind of shad, that would be in the fall, especially popping baits in the fall. Popping frog, that would be great. And then just a bluegill. Like this weekend I was looking for bluegill beds specifically. So, you know, this time of year, bluegill spawn. Big fish, go back there and eat them. There you go. Number 2 frog. So that was a Scum Launch Frog. Number 2 is the Trophy Popper from Scum Frog. It's just a white. I'm sure it's some kind of, got a sexy shad looking deal kind of color, but it's white. I got, this one's a bone. So they're pretty much same color on bottom. Don't worry about the top. That's just for fishermen. I have a green. They actually, Tackle Warehouse accidentally sent me a green, so they let me keep it. Don't know if I'll ever throw it. But I have a black as well, so there you go. The Scum Frog, says it right there, Scum Frog. Trophy Popper, and also, I'm telling you, that plastic, there's just absolutely nothing to it. And they still don't get snagged that much, so it's not a problem. Can't say enough about Scum Frog. Not sponsored by them at all or anything. And then the other one I throw, which I probably throw, I would say I throw these the most, and the cat is out of the bag on this bait because they absolutely catch them, and that's what I caught. I think 2 out of the 3 this weekend were on a black and red, bluegill colored. There's a Stanley top toad. It's another one, man. Top toad. I know everybody, seems like everybody knows about them now, but wow, what a bait. They just, they're inexpensive. They last forever. They absolutely catch fish. I don't know how many I missed, but a lot of them were gar. And whenever you're fishing a frog, it's just going to happen. I mean, they just weren't getting it. I was force feeding it to them. So it wasn't, and I couldn't get them to bite anything else. So it's not like, you know, I missed a bunch of fish because the frog was wrong. I was force feeding it to him, so I was getting a lot of misses, which is fine. I did throw some backup baits, Senko, things like that, and that's an important thing to have on the deck with you. As if you do miss a bite on a frog, have something to throw back in there, so maybe you can catch them. A frog, I mean, it's very seldom. Let's say 10% of the time you're able to get a second bite on a frog, but not much. you really have to have some kind of backup bait usually. So there you go. And the colors of this are just a black, a white, and some kind of bluegill. They have a couple different ones that are bluegill. I have like something about Gunnersville in the fall. That orange, kind of orange bottom. It looks a little bit more yellow on the camera, but I swear it's orange. But any kind of flashy bluegill color. I feel like it's frog fishing. I really think this is one of those techniques where the colors matter the least, at least to me. So that's it. So Scum Frog, Trophy Frog, Trophy Poppin' Frog, the Scum Frog Launch Frog, and the Stanley Top Toad. That's the 3 I use. Black, white, bluegill. That's it. And I catch a mess out on my frog. 50 pound, always 50 pound line, no matter what. 50 pound braid. Specifically, I use Vicious. I bought some off Swindle for, like, Gerald Swindle, the pro, probably 8 years ago. I bought thousands of yards of Vicious 50 pound pro whenever he, 50 pound braid whenever he used to be with Vicious. And I guess he was not with him anymore, so he was selling everything. I bought it all. Yeah, I bought thousands of yards of it, and that's all I use 50 pound Vicious braid. Old Vicious braid for everything. I'm still using it all these years later. I bought so much of it, and it just lasts forever. And it's actually really good braid. But I wouldn't know because I haven't thrown any other braid in so long. I throw like little braid on spinning rods. I use Sunline. But I've been using that Vicious 50 pound braid for everything for the last 8 years, so I couldn't tell you any other thicker size braid because I haven't used it. I've been using that same stuff. So there you go. If you have any questions, put them below. Man, it's frog season. Get out there, have some fun. Get you a heavy rod, 773, somewhere around there. Heavy action, heavy fast action rod. Anything you like. Pull out that cheap ugly stick and get after it. Have a frog. Man, it's hard to find a better way to catch a bass than doing that. So good luck out there. Y'all be safe. Wear your PFDs. And if you have any questions, put them below. And like and subscribe as always. See you on the next one.